Yep, got. Fish on.
Yay!
Yeah, let's go!
Nice one.
Whoa, nice one, guys. What's this fish?
This is a candy striped cardinal fish.
Amazing. Can you introduce yourselves?
Yep, I'm Ryan.
And I'm Benjamin.
And where are we exactly today?
We're at Bedok Jetty, East Coast Park.
And what are you guys doing here?
We're doing some weekend fishing on a Sunday morning.
Oh. So how old are you guys exactly?
I'm 16.
And I'm 17.
So you're still students?
Yeah.
What do you guys do?
I'm at Marine Stewards and I'm also a student researcher for marine biology.
So I'm at Marine Stewards as well, and I'm one of the owners of SG Fishing Rigs.
Awesome. Shall we take a look at the fish?
Sure, let's go.
Hi, fishies. So cute.
Yeah.
So
What
that's the
is
one
it
we just
exactly?
Yeah, so this is a candy striped cardinal fish.
And how do you tell?
You can tell by the body shape, you can also tell by the spot on the tail. It also has a very big mouth for its size.
And can I touch this one?
Sure, yeah, you can actually.
So cute. Okay. And do these get any bigger?
No, this is more or less the adult size for this one.
And what gives it its interesting name?
Candy stripe probably because of the patterns. And yeah, another thing interesting about this fish is that the reason why it has such a big mouth is that the males, they keep the eggs in the mouth to protect them.
And how common is it?
Yeah, this one is pretty common here at
Yep.
Bedok Jetty.
Any special facts about it?
Yeah, so these guys, you can tell from the big eyes, they are also mostly nocturnal, this family. But this one is, they do come out a bit more during the day.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I see you've just unhooked the fish.
Right.
Does it hurt the fish?
Not really, because you see the hooks they're using, they're not very big, right? You can just see. And then the barbs on them, they aren't very big either, so it doesn't really hurt the fish. Yep.
So what are you going to do now?
Yeah, so now we're going to try to document them. Yeah, we're going to put it in the photo tank right here.
Oh, and what's the documentation for?
Oh, it's for MParks. So it's this platform called Biome.
And why does it have to be sideways?
So we get a more uniform shot when it's sideways, and it also helps the fins to flare up. We've put a small layer of water at the bottom so that the fish doesn't get too stressed.
Have you caught any others this morning?
Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
Come take a look. So right over here, what's this one, Ben?
This is the pink-eared emperor.
And is there anything interesting about this one?
Yeah, these guys are quite athletic, if you would say. They do swim quite hard, and the reason why it's called a pink-eared emperor is that there's this red bit behind the gills, which is what gives it its name. No idea why it's not called a red-eared emperor, but it is what it is.
These guys can get relatively big as well. We
Yeah.
get them around up to this size sometimes.
Yeah,
So they're
give a really
awesome.
good fight.
Definitely one of the better ones out here.
And what about the other fish?
Alright, so which one is this, Ben?
Okay, so this one here is, they call it a selar, also known as a yellow-tail scad. This one here is a very, very baby one. They get much, much bigger, and it's probably one of the most targeted fish to catch in Singapore. And there's quite a few fishermen out here looking just for this.
Right.
And how does it survive out of the sea?
Oh, these guys, they do come in schools. So these guys, they swim in large groups to avoid predators, and when they're out of the sea, these guys, they can last for about a minute. Yeah, they're quite hardy.
And that's 1 minute out of the water. Once we put it, in our artificial sea right here in our bucket, they can survive a much, much longer time.
Yeah, so it's really handy to have the buckets like these.
Very
it helps you
important.
take care of the fish.
Cool. And I see one colorful one there.
Oh,
What fish is that?
Right. Yeah, this one's pretty colorful. You have this little blue on top, you have the yellow tail, and you have the brown stripe. So based on these colors, it's called the brown stripe red snapper. So you really call it colorful because it has two colors in its name.
Nice. Any more fish in there that we haven't seen?
Yeah. We've got one more, I think. That guy should be quite a challenge to get though. Where is he?
Or is that the banded perch?
Yeah, that's a banded perch.
The banded perch, you're able to see them all across the surface of the water here at Bedok Jetty.
one
And there's
fell out.
lots and lots of these guys. They're very, very spiky fish.
These guys are very feisty. How was your experience with the banded perch, Ben?
Definitely a difficult one. Just unhooking the fish alone, they're very, very spiky.
They're very,
so
very
you
spiky.
have to be very careful when you're handling them. Even though they're not poisonous, you don't really want to have
They're also-
spikes in you anywhere.
So which is the most elusive fish to catch in Singapore? Which is the rarest
I
that
think
is on your bucket list?
everyone has their own opinion, I guess, on their favorite fish to catch. For Ryan, what would yours be?
Mine is the longfin bannerfish. I actually caught that one already.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like Gil in Finding Nemo. Quite
Oh,
funny.
cute.
it has the nice stripes. And then for me, of course, it would be the queenfish. These guys are Bedok Jetty is probably one of the hot spots for them, and I love them because when you hook onto them, they'll jump nicely in the air. They get really big as well,
Yeah.
sometimes up to 6 kilos,
Yeah.
which is really, really awesome.
Oh my
Can
gosh,
you
this
eat it?
banded perch.
Yes, you definitely can. The interesting thing about them is they actually have spikes on the top of their body and on the bottom, which are all slightly poisonous. If you get pricked, they'll hurt a bit, but if you fillet it, you won't have any other poison in the meat.
And I see so many people at Bedok Jetty here on a Sunday morning. Do you think there's enough fish in Singapore for all the fishermen?
Okay, so as long as you fish sustainably, then there'll be enough for the future. Currently, we have enough fish in Singapore to practically sustain a happy fishing style. Right now, everyone's pretty happy, but sometimes, you know, if people keep everything they catch, soon there won't be much left. And that's why it's important to catch and release the fish that you catch, especially these small ones. As I mentioned earlier, some of them can get much bigger than they actually are. Sometimes we catch fish that are this size, but they can grow up all the way up to like
sure.
30 kilos.
Actually, right, this guy right here, this guy is called just remember the brown striped red snapper? These guys are actually sold in markets. It's called the key fish there, and they grow up to like this big. So we should definitely release this guy. All right,
And-
I finally got the banded perch.
Wow,
You can take a look.
finally.
Finally, you can see, yep, a lot of
Ooh,
spines on it.
yep.
Behind the gill plate, there's a lot of stuff as well, and then purple head.
So these guys can also get relatively big, and they'll
Yeah.
be roaming around
There we go.
the surface of the water here at Bedok Jetty. So if we just walk along and you look by the pillars holding the jetty up, you can see them all around the pillars. These guys are sometimes considered a little bit of a nuisance because they're so easy to catch. Some people will try to avoid them because they like to destroy your rubbers, and people like to catch fish with rubbers as well.
Awesome. So there's so many different fish out here. Do you guys have a personal favorite?
How about you, Ben?
I have to say the queenie.
Yeah, I'll say the banner fish. That was
Nice.
really a momentous fish for me.
And how many species are there in Singapore?
Oh, there are lots. Not many people might know it, but in Singapore, the marine species, there are 500 or more, actually.
So many for a city like this?
Yeah, many people don't quite think that Singapore will have this many, but Ben, do you know something about our area in the tropics?
Yeah, definitely. So because of where Singapore is placed on the earth, we have loads and loads of tropical fish. We're in between Malaysia and Indonesia, which also have some really colorful fish. And because of where we are, there's loads of coral reefs around Singapore. There's loads of rocky structures. And because the government has built artificial structures as the jetty, and there's loads of shipwrecks around Singapore as well. So all of these waters will hold lots of these tropical fish, and since there's lots of land reclamation, generally gets really deep really fast, and that's why we see all these really big boats around. So this can make it very easy for us to catch big fish in the deeper waters without having to go really far into the sea.
Awesome. I see many cool gear around us. Can you tell me more about the gears you're using?
Okay, so today we are using the SG Fisheries Aqua X, which SG Fisheries actually sponsored the Fish X program. So these are just basic beginner setups which we're using to catch these smaller size fish. It's pretty multi-purpose where we can catch these, we can catch the queenies, and we can use it for quite a lot of purposes.
Really sensitive, I love it.
And I see some bait over there. What are the fishes eating this morning?
Right, so over here, we've got prawn.
Ooh, so atas.
So these are just normal prawns we find at the market. Prawn is probably one of the best baits to use out
For
here.
sure, for sure.
Sometimes people like to use things like octopus, squid that they catch here in Singapore. However, it's not as effective as prawn.
Yeah, we also got it at a good price, so not that atas.
And what other stuff do you guys have?
Right, so over here we have the rig. You want to talk a bit about it, Ben?
Yeah, sure. So this rig here, it has 7 different hooks. We have a sinker at the bottom here, and we have a snap at the top. This is generally what is called here as a tamban hook rig. It's generally used to catch small tamban fish, which are these small little silver fish all around the jetty. Also to catch these sellers as well. But what we're doing is just attaching a little bit of prawn, as you can see here, onto our hooks and dropping it nearby some pillars, as the pillars are natural structure for the fish.
Right.
The hooks and the fish seem a little bit small. Is there any reason for that?
Yeah, that's a question we get a lot. One reason is that we're going for quantity. We're trying to document as many species as possible. As you can see, we're successfully doing here. Right, we've got lots of them. And yeah, some of these fish, we must remember that they are juvenile, so we will release them later.
Nice. Okay, let's go. Let's go and release the
Alright.
fish now. But Ben, that's so cool. You're like Steve Jobs in the fishing space. Seems like you're doing a lot for SG Fishing Rigs. So can you tell me more about it? When did you start it?
Yeah, so definitely. So SG Fisheries was actually mainly started just after the COVID situation. Me, Heikel and Lucas actually were selling our Aqua X bundles before the COVID situation hit. However, because of the COVID situation, we actually came back the day the jetty reopened, and we realized the fishing was really amazing. And this is because the ecosystem had come back to life, as we weren't able to fish for around 2 months, and it was really awesome. I was here with loads of my friends, and we were able to catch 50 over really big fish, lots of these queenies. It was really, really exciting. So because of this, we started SG Fisheries to try create more sustainable products and more affordable products for beginners.
And did you start it with a group of friends? Tell us about your the owners of SG Fisheries.
Definitely. So we actually started with 3 people, me, Heikel and Lucas. However, we realized we needed slightly more manpower. So now we have Zitong, we have Wayne, we have Qingyan, and we have Harry. All of these will be forming the SG Fishing Rigs team.
And how old are all of you?
So we actually all range from 16 years old to 19 years old. So I'm one of the youngest, and then we have Heikel, who's the oldest.
So you're like Greta Thunberg of Singapore then? Male version.
I guess you could consider me as one of those. Along with all the other people part of Marine Stewards and SG Fisheries, we all, I guess you could call the Greta Thunberg of Singapore.
And what about you, Ryan? What's Marine Stewards about?
Yeah, so Marine Stewards is this non-profit in Singapore. It's all about marine conservation and making it accessible to everyone. So it mainly focuses on fishing actually.
And tell me more about this DNA library.
Yeah, so at Marine Stewards we also have this DNA library called the Codefish SG project. It's something we're helping out at the Leong Natural History Museum. And yeah, so what we do over there is we try to do some genetic sequencing.
And how many specimens have you donated?
Right, I've donated about 25 to date.
And tell me more about your marine conservation efforts.
Yeah, so apart from the Codefish SG project, we've also been doing a fishing workshop, sustainable fishing workshop for anyone to join actually. People to just have a no-frills, entry-free try at fishing and to realize that, oh wow, in Singapore with all these different marine biodiversity to enjoy.
Lots of them.
Lots.
And how many people have you taught so far?
We've taught over 100. Yeah.
100
Yeah, 100.
in Singapore.
Yeah, in Singapore.
So if I'm new to fishing in Singapore and I want to start, like, so we are at Bedok Jetty now, where else can we fish?
Right, okay, so over here, we've got the map just for you, right here.
So this map was developed by SG Fishing Rigs and Street Director together, also with Marine Stewards, Mustad and Rapala up there, and Temasek Polytechnic. So this here, it clearly states, you know, all the legal fishing areas, especially it's really easy to see with the legend below. It also makes it nice and clear for people to know what areas are legal to fish in the freshwater environment as well as the saltwater environment. So here we have places like Bedok Jetty, Labrador Jetty, East Coast Park, Sungai, Bedok Jetty. There's so many different places. We have over, 45 different fishing locations all around Singapore, and these are all really hot spots. Some of these locations you might not even know you could even fish at, such as St. John Island, Kusu Island and Pulau Ubin.
And what inspired you to design this?
Okay, so we constantly saw people being caught illegally fishing in Singapore, and we noticed one of the problems was there was no really clear place stated where and where you can't fish. There are some places, if you look hard enough, telling you where you can and where you can't, but we wanted to make something more easy for the reader to digest and be able to really clearly see where is legal and where is not.
Bro, this is like an ad, you have the background music as well.
And so if I'm also new to fishing and I've caught a couple of fish, how can anyone teach me how to identify the fish?
Yeah, so we've also got this other resource. So, right here in my pocket. See, it's so convenient, you can fit it in your pocket as well. So we've got this brochure by marine stewards as well. It's all about the different sustainability aspects of fishing, some tips, as well as some common species that we have. They also have these really cool ID cards over here. So they also show some endangered species like the sharp-nosed ray. Then the snapper that we saw just now, groupers. Some other cool stuff as well.
On top of this, you can also check out the Marine Stewards website where they have even more species that are constantly being updated. As these maps, they were printed, but constantly over time, more and more species will be put there, along with species that are invasive, species that are endangered. It also tells you the maturity lengths of fish and so on.
Yeah, so we know what size of fish we want to release.
You talked about the shovel-nosed ray just now.
Right.
And I remember that a few years ago, there were some shovel-nosed rays that were being sold in our wet markets. Can you tell me more about it?
Yeah, so it's not a really great thing to see because these shovel-nosed rays, they're at the top of the food chain. They're all the way at the top. So they don't feel the need naturally to reproduce a lot because they're not under threat naturally until humans come along. So we really hunt them beyond their rate of reproduction. So it's something really important to limit or actually completely remove our consumption of it so that it can continue to sustain in the population.
So does this sum up marine conservation for you?
Yeah, so for me, marine conservation is all about setting boundaries for ourselves. It's all about knowing the facts about the marine ecosystem so that you can make informed decisions, right? That's all about it. And it's really about being good stewards of what we have. It's not that we don't use them, but we use them responsibly and at a rate that in the future, people can continue to really appreciate and enjoy it.
And just the definition of sustainability means that if you take one fish, you release one fish back, but that's just the tip of the iceberg that we're looking at here. What we want to do is basically release one fish, but then make sure those fish repopulate and repopulate our oceans, meaning that when we come here, we're able to catch 50 big fish a day every single day, not just one day after a 2-month break of no fishing. So we want to have an ecosystem just like that where it's much easier to catch fish and there's more around.
Yeah, definitely. And at the same time, we also collect data along the way. We collect more information to help us protect these fish more.
And definitely, and this is important so we can know more about these fish and where they like to breed. So these areas can maybe even be protected by the government to protect these fish and hopefully they can repopulate more.
So many aspects.
So it's really nice to see students like you getting into fishing. Tell me how you guys even began your fishing journey.
You want to go first, Ben?
Sure. So for me, I've lived around the ocean my whole life, right? I lived in the US, England, Singapore, and all these places I've lived right next to the ocean. So I've grown up with fishing from my parents. My whole family enjoys doing it, especially in England. I'm going for those carp, but I started doing it in the ocean, and I've been doing it in Singapore for quite some time. But the ocean is more of a stress reliever for me, being a teenager, in school with lots of friends and family, but also having to run a business as well. It's quite tough and a lot to handle. So sometimes the ocean is really important when it comes to de-stressing practically anyone. So I feel the need to give back as it gave me so much.
Yeah, definitely.
And what about you, Ryan?
Yeah, so I've been fishing since I was 6 actually. I'm 17 now, which means I've been fishing for more than a decade. Which sounds quite weird coming from someone like me. But at the same time, it's really been, like Ben, it's really given me so much. It's given me something to pursue. It's given me something to really relieve my stress beyond the hustle and bustle of school. So for me, it's really something that I want to give back to and I really want to steward.
Nice. And so how many fish have you guys caught in your lifetime?
Oh wow.
Tough question.
To be honest, for me it's too tough. I can't even say, there's too many to count. If you consider every single fish, I've probably caught a few thousand.
Several thousand.
Maybe tens of thousands, to be honest. If you're counting every single individual small fish, definitely tens of thousands. If you're counting just big fish, maybe a few thousand. But living across different places around the world, you're able to experience different types of species. So it's always exciting to try catch new species, catch your personal best fish, and so on.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about when fishing has so much direction, so many areas where you can pursue.
And on top of that, we also do have to consider it's not only fish we're looking for here at Better Jetty. Earlier on, we saw people catching things like
Watch out
octopus.
behind you.
We're catching octopus, squid, crabs. There's so much stuff in our ecosystem here in Singapore.
Thank you.
And what about you, Ryan? How many do you have?
Yeah, so what I do is a lot like Pokemon actually. I try to document as many fish as possible. That partially goes to research. It's also a sort of side gimmick for me, something that I try to pursue. So that's right now I've gotten 148 species.
Wow. And apart from the fish itself, do you usually come out here with your friends?
Right. Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah, of course.
Or is it more fun to fish alone?
To be honest, some people like to fish alone because realistically, when you're fishing alone, you'll catch more fish. But me personally, I only like fishing with friends. If I'm not out there with friends, I really don't enjoy it as much. And if I don't have, friends that are coming with me to the session, there's always people at the jetty here today that I know from personal experience, right? I've been fishing here like 7 years, so I know so many people here. Earlier this morning, I saw around 8 different friends. So it's really exciting to see them all.
All the gang.
Definitely.
So what would you say about the fishing community in Singapore in general?
It's very small. The fishing community is very small currently.
Behind
it
you,
used to be
yeah.
smaller. Watch out! But it's growing. It's probably one of the most. It is the sport that is growing the fastest in Singapore, which is really, really awesome to see. And it's really a tight community where we all talk to each other through social media like Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and so on, and YouTube. So it's really, really awesome.
Yeah.
And Ryan?
Yeah, so I really think that it isn't the biggest community right now, but it's definitely growing. It's definitely growing because of the pandemic. More people are trying to rediscover Singapore. And being an island nation, it's quite natural that we eventually get ourselves to fishing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, right? So, I think it's something that's really great. We're trying to welcome new anglers into the community as well through things like fish acts. But at the same time, we try to equip them with sustainable fishing knowledge so that they are able to lead as role models from the ground up.
Any tips you would give to someone who's new to fishing?
I would say don't get discouraged on your first trip. It gets a while to get the feel for it, but once you get your first fish, they'll keep coming.
And it's important for you to search on YouTube, watch other people. It's the best thing to do whenever you're fishing anywhere. And I do this myself when I go to other countries. I go to the first person I see who's a local, and I practically just copy what they're using. They always know what they're doing, and the locals will always be best. So that's what I did when I first came here, and I've grown to be better and better over time. It's also important to watch things like YouTube for YouTube videos around the area, and you can learn a lot from that as well.
Great tips.
You actually look quite familiar. I've seen you somewhere.
Maybe you've probably seen me quite a few times on multiple YouTube channels. I'm friends with lots of YouTubers, and I do it myself just for fun. And I do Instagram quite a lot. So I'll document catch my catches on Instagram, whether it's fish, squid, octopus, crabs, and so on.
This guy's living the life, man. He has thousands of subscribers and 8 friends at Bedok Jetty.
And so I mean, we're coming to the end of this, but how easy has it been to promote conservation?
It's in a way it's difficult because it's difficult to educate so many people about the meaning of conservation. As when you catch a fish, even if it's this size and it's a snapper, the first thing you want to do is bring it home and cook it. It's something that even I used to do as a habit, and it's just a normal habit for people. You're so proud of getting something, and it's like so sad to put it back. People are starting to understand how important it is to do such.
Yeah, it's been said. Yeah, it's been said that it's really difficult, but at the same time, nothing worth doing ever is easy. And being able to do this, it really starts from leading from example, trying to do our small practices as well. And what keeps me going is really the prospect of having a thriving ecosystem in Singapore, and also having all these amazing people alongside me. Yeah, just all collaborating for something bigger than ourselves, and also organizations like Marine Stewards. And if you look over there, they have a signboard that they put up. Neat stuff.
Oh wow, I just noticed that. That's really cool. Can you tell me what's on it?
Yeah, so on here we have all the different fish on our ID cards just now. You saw those, and Yeah, it just gives a brief overview of the types of fish we have, the maturity lengths, all the sustainable measures that we mentioned earlier.
So actually some of the fish that we caught earlier are actually here. So the yellowtail scad, you saw how small that guy is. You can see their maturity length is all the way at 17 cm. So compared to the one just here,
This guy's a tiny guy.
this guy is really, really, really tiny.
Yeah.
So we have quite a few other common fish that we would often catch here, such as the chocolate hinds, the orange spotted groupers, and we have all those snappers up here. You can see how big some of them get, and even you can find sharks in Singapore, which many people don't know.
I didn't know we had bull sharks. I definitely didn't know that.
Awesome. And so how many fish do you usually catch in a day?
It really varies. How about you, Ben?
It always varies on the conditions that we're fishing in. Some of the conditions would be the weather. So especially when it starts to rain or it's about to rain, watch out. When it starts to rain, the atmospheric pressure changes. So this
Right.
is really important for the fish. Also to keep in mind the weather from the previous days as well, the temperature and the current. For saltwater fishing, the most important thing to take note of is always the current.
Yeah. To answer your question directly though, a good number for me in a day is 35, around there.
35 fish.
Yeah.
How long a period of time?
4 hours?
3 hours?
4 hours.
4 hours. And
Yeah.
what time do you usually start?
Oh, today was a bit early. I had to travel quite far. Unlike Ben, I don't live next to the sea. So, usually I come at around 7:30, 8 o'clock. Yeah,
Today was a
that's
bit
about-
earlier. Today was
a bit
6:30.
earlier. All the fish were sleeping when we came.
Oh yeah? So what's the ideal time to start fishing?
I think for the type of fishing that we're doing with bait and going for all the small diversity, we are going for around the morning because the tide starts low and then it slowly goes higher, and then as the water moves, they start feeding more.
So can we head to the beach now?
Yeah, sure.
Let's do it.
And tell me what you're doing now.
Yeah, so earlier we talked about releasing juveniles, so we're going to do just that. We're going to get our shoes a bit wet. I don't like wet socks, but it's enough. So we're just going to release these guys and let them carry on for the next generation.
So what we just did earlier is what we call the CPR. It's a little bit different from the classic CPR, but it stands for catch, photo and release. So this is something that MParks recommends doing. So you just catch the fish, you take a photo, then you release it straight away. So that's the CPR that we did earlier on. So now we're going to do the release portion of the CPR, the R.
Okay. So are we going into the tank?
Yeah.
Into the sea?
Yeah, we're going. I'm not looking forward to getting my shoes wet.
I'll let you go ahead.
In the name of conservation, we shall get our socks wet.
I will get my socks wet.